Hey Algebra 1, and thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be looking at lesson 7.4/7.8, and what we're mainly focusing on is how to solve equations by factoring. So we're just going to be setting them equal to 0 and then solving for the variable. We're going to be looking for 9 things to write in our notes today, so let's get started on that. Just to review, so whenever a polynomial is factored, we can see it written as a product of factors. So this is mainly where we want to be able to start with our problem and then be able to set each individual product equal to 0. Something we're going to do with that is called the zero product property, and that just basically looks like this, where you have two binomials that have already been obviously factored, and you set them equal to 0, and then you solve for them. The solution of those equations are called roots. So we're going to take time now just to write down what the zero product property is, and then the solutions are called roots. Once you're done, go ahead and click play so you can go on to see how it's done. So this next one, we're just going to show you how to solve. What you're essentially just going to do is break up each individual product and set it equal to 0. So my first one would be 2x is equal to 0, and my second one would be x minus 4 is equal to 0, and then you'd solve for x. We would solve for x here by dividing by 2, so x is equal to 0 for the first root, and then over here we would just be adding 4 to both sides so that x is equal to positive 4. So you get 2 answers for this one. For letter B, again, separate the binomials and set them equal to 0, and then solve. X is equal to 3 or x is equal to 9. Okay, so pretty easy for the most part. So I'm going to get you to go ahead and try these 3 on your own. Let's go ahead and pause the video now so you can try them. And then once you're done, go ahead and click play. Alright, so for number 2, I separated them. I got x is equal to 0, and then x minus 1 is equal to 0. This one is already solved. And then this one, I just bring the 1 on the other side. So I get x is equal to 0, or x is equal to 1. Number 3, I just set them both again equal to 0, separating the products. T would be equal to 0, or t is equal to negative 2. And then for number 4, if we separate them, z is equal to 4, or z is equal to 6. The next thing we're going to look at is sometimes we'll have like multiple steps. So if I'm trying to solve for letter A, I would still separate these products and make them equal to 0. So 2x plus 7 is equal to 0, and 2x minus 7 is equal to 0. According to our multi-steps, we're always going to undo addition and subtraction first. I'm going to keep these separate so you can kind of see my work here. So I'll have 2x for the first one is equal to negative 7, and then 2x is equal to positive 7 for the second, and then I'm just going to divide by 2. You can either change this to a mixed number. I'm just going to keep it as an improper fraction just because that's easier for me. So I'm going to have 2 answers, negative 7/2 or positive 7/2. Letter B kind of takes it back to what we just learned about, which was the special products of factoring. And this just basically means that there are 2 x minus 1s. So again, if you separate them, you get x minus 1 is equal to 0 for both, and both your answers are going to be equal to 1. So you could say x is equal to 1 or x is equal to 1, or you could just say x is equal to 1. Either one of these answers works though. So let's go ahead and try 5, 6, and 7. Notice number 7 though, you will have 3 possible roots as your answer. So let's go ahead and pause here so we can try it, and then once you're done, click play. Alright, so for number 5, we set them both equivalent to 0, so 3s plus 5 equals 0. And 5s plus 8 equals 0. I'm going to go and start solving by subtraction. So I have 3s is equal to negative 5. So that means s will be equal to negative 5/3 as one possible root. And then over here I have 5s is equal to negative 8. And when I divide, s is equal to negative 8/5 as another possible root. Okay. For number 6, you should have kind of picked up by now that whenever we see a squaring, it's basically going to give us the same answer. So really for number 6, I only did this. b plus 7 is equal to 0, so all my roots would be equal to negative 7. And then 7, all of these would be separately written to be equal to 0. So that means you have 3 possible answers. D is equal to 2, or D is equal to negative 6, or D is equal to negative 8. So 3 possible answers for number 7. The last types of questions you're going to see is just a little bit extra work that you have to do. In letter A, to start this one, you need to factor it. So you're going to have to factor first, and then do the zero property product, or the zero product property. And then I'm just going to write ZPP for zero product property. So for letter A on this page, I'm going to factor out a 2x, so that I get x plus 4. And then I can go ahead and solve that. I would just set both examples equal to 0. X is equal to 0, and x is equal to negative 4. And then for letter B, I need them both to be on the same side. So what I'm going to do is bring 15n over here, which means it'll be 6n squared minus 15n, and still set that equal to 0. Then I would need to factor first. Then I would need to factor 16n squared and minus 15n. I'm going to factor out a 3n here. So I'm going to have 2n minus 5 as one of my products, and then set each one equal to 0. So the first one, n is equal to 0. And then the second one, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So I get 2n is equal to 5, and then n is equal to 5/2. Okay? So factor first, and then do your zero product property for this first one that you saw on the left side. And then for the option B, I need to bring both things over to the left side, still set it equal to 0, factor, and then zero product property. So here are 2 just like that. Let's go ahead and pause to try our last 2 questions in our notes, numbers 8 and 9. And then once you're done, click play. So for number 8, I'm going to go ahead and factor out 3s. So I'm going to have s minus 3 is equal to 0. And then set them equal to 0. So 3s is equal to 0. S minus 3 is equal to 0. S can be equal to 0, or S can be equal to 3. And then for number 9, I'm going to bring my 2x over. So I'm going to have 4x squared minus 2x is equal to 0. And then factor out a 2x. So I'll have 2x minus 1 after I factor that out, and then set them equal to 0. X is equal to 0. I'm going to add 1 for this guy. This one's multi-step. And then x is equal to 1/2 for number 9. Okay? That's going to conclude our notes today on 7-4 and 7-8. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.